Hello, everyone. Again, Ryan Ledden coming to you, president of Black Oak Asset Management. We're a local advisory firm here in the Atlanta area with offices in several different locations, but want to welcome you to just different topics I like to discuss. It may be something that's in the headlines, something that we've seen in our office, something we've seen with the clients that we work with. And some of you may be able to name these things, these items that could basically sink your retirement if you saw the headlines there. And there's a whole bunch, to be honest, but these are the 5 that we have seen the most, and any one of these can sink your retirement or put it in a tailspin that you were not expecting. Much less all 5 of these would be demoralizing, but one of these could potentially change what retirement planning or retirement looks like for you. So let's start with the first one. And again, these 5, I bet you most of you would get these right, but have you thought about planning for them? That's the biggest difference. What have you done to put a check mark by each one of those to say, yep, I plan for that, plan for that. Most people have not. There's usually a hole somewhere. And like I said, any one of these can put a hole in your retirement. So the first one, outliving your money. That one is a huge concern because, again, I like to look at history. My last topic I was talking about, I like to look at history. It doesn't mean it repeats itself, but you like to look at it so you can make informed decisions moving forward. But if you look at history, our average lifespan has just continually been going up. Now, recently, with obviously in 2020, 21, with COVID numbers, actuary tables have changed a little bit. They've actually regressed a little bit, but they've mostly been going up. So we are sometimes outliving our money. We have not saved enough because you have a combination of a lot of things. Inflation's going up. People's consumer spending is going up. Savings rates are less. Pensions are almost extinct unless you work in some sort of government sector. But for the most part, private pensions are few and far between. And if you do get one, most of the time they're offering you a lump sum to get off their books so they don't have to worry about you anymore because you are living longer. So there's so many stats out there, but if you're a married couple and you're both are relatively healthy when you reach your 60s, mid 60s, there's something like a 90-something% chance that one of you will live into their 90s and probably need some type of care. So there's foreshadowing for another one of my topics that could sink your retirement. But outliving your money, have you made a plan? Have you saved enough? Do you have guaranteed income coming in? I know most of us out there have paid into Social Security. I'll do another topic on Social Security another day, but we can argue back and forth on is Social Security going to be there? In my humble opinion, I think it will be. Could there be changes? Not could there. Will there be changes? Will there be modifications? Yes. But we don't know what those are now. So we can only plan for what we know right now and maybe do an alternative plan that says, hey, maybe it's means tested. Maybe the benefit's going to be cut by 75% or whatever it may be. We can take that into consideration, but to say it's going to be gone, I disagree with that. I do. So outliving your money, what kind of income do you have coming in? Because when you get to retirement, it is about income. It is not about nest egg. Sure, nest eggs can create income, but nest eggs can go away. So what kind of guaranteed income do you have coming in per month? Is it Social Security times 2, depending on if you're married or single? Is there any sort of pension? Any pension, even if it's small, let's count it. So is there any kind of pension? If there is a pension, is there a cost of living adjustment? If not, we got to make adjustments for that. Do you have, an income annuity out there? What are the guaranteed streams of income? Do you have real estate that comes in? So sometimes it's hard to put a nest egg number on that when you have income coming in. So that's first and foremost. What do you have coming in? Could you outlive your money? If your nest egg was gone, do you have enough from Social Security and any pensions that would last forever? Hopefully so. But those are less and less and less people. The more that we work with people that are younger, the less and less we see of that guaranteed income number. So it's got to come from you, what you save. And it's harder and harder to save because of lifestyles continue to increase, the cost of goods, inflation, everything seems to be going up. Outliving your money, you do have to take that in consideration. Next, the creep of inflation. So for years and years and years, this was like the silent killer people's portfolio. You just, okay, yeah, 2 to 3% inflation. Yeah, it's never going to go up. 2 to 3%. Yeah, whatever. It creeps up on you. Even 2 to 3% creeps up on you. Well, this one is not hiding anymore. This is a big slap in the face for a lot of people because of inflation is so high. And it was bound to happen. I just didn't know it would happen that quick, basically in 1 year, that inflation would go up that much with interest rates going up that much as well. So the creep of inflation is a real thing. And it's amazing how when you start ticking up inflation rates on your income plan, what it does from a long-term perspective, how demoralizing it can be if you factored in 2% every single year and all of a sudden it's 4 to 5. Makes a huge difference. Okay, so you got to put in inflation. And I'm okay with adjusting those numbers. If you want to have higher inflation for the first 10, 15 years and then start scaling it back, I'm fine. I mean, that's okay to do that, but you do have to factor in consideration. So you can't say, "Oh, I want to retire with $100,000 of income, and I should be good." And then you look 30 years down the road and you think, "Oh my gosh, what a huge shortage." Well, I'm not going to need $240,000 a year. Well, that's what inflation could turn into. What that $100,000 is what you wanted, and it turns into 240. Again, I'm just making up numbers, but it does increase, and everything else is going to increase. Costs of goods sold are going to go up. Care is going to go up. So you have to factor that in. So outliving your money is a real thing. Inflation, got to factor it in, which again is not too hard of an argument. The biggest the biggest discussion I have with people right now is what rate are we going to use? That's a tough one. That's a tough one to know. So you got to factor it in though. Again, I mentioned it before, nursing home, in-home care, whatever it may be. How are you going to pay for that? Is it self-funded, which is fine? Do you have a long-term care insurance policy? Do you have a life insurance policy? That's kind of a hybrid LTC. Do you have an income annuity that increases as you need care? There's a lot of different things out there because long-term care insurance can be expensive. It can also be tough to get. Depending on your history, your health history, they can kick you out and be like, nope, we're going to deny this and you're not going to get a policy. When I first got in the industry over 10 years ago, the application was a front and back application, and that was it. No paramed, nothing. It is completely different now. So you probably want to start checking into that if you're in your 50s. I would. It just gets more and more expensive as you get older and health issues come up. I have one. I'm not saying it's the right fit for everybody, but I've had one since my late 30s. It's inexpensive, but I got one that's not on the market anymore. So I'm glad I got it. Some people think it's a little bit overkill. Maybe so, but I have it and I don't have to worry about it. So that's one thing from a retirement standpoint I've already checked off, even though I'm way far away from retirement now. So outliving your money, the creep of inflation, and nursing home care or some type of care. You can't just put your head in the sand and go, no, I'm not going to need it. Chances are you're going to need something. And Medicare does not pay for hardly any of it. It does for like maybe 20 days or something like that. But I'm not a Medicare expert, but it does pay for something, but for a short period of time. Next, volatility of the stock market. My goodness, if you lived under a rock the last 3 years, you should know what this is because 2021 great years, 22 not great, and then this year's kind of ping-ponged around. Volatility is that's always going to happen in the stock market. It doesn't always just go up. These graphs are not line graphs that just do this. Okay, it's ups, downs, ups, downs. Obviously, stay in the course. I'm a big proponent of the market. Stay in the course is going to get you there. But when you get to retirement and you're decumulating assets, it's much more difficult to do that, to withstand some of that volatility. So if you retire and all of a sudden the market has a 30% pullback, that's tough. That's tough to come back from because you're pulling that money out at the same time. So the volatility of the stock market, you still want volatility. You just have to shrink that volatility. Okay, so there's a thing called standard deviation. There's a top side and a bottom side, and you need to shrink that standard deviation, but still get a decent rate of return. So when you get to retirement and you're decumulating assets, it's more about consistent rate of returns versus average rate of return. If you're socking money away and you're still working, you want average rate of return. All right, that's where we're shooting for. So a lot more volatility. But when you get to retirement and you're decumulating assets, you want consistent rate of returns, not average rate of return. Consistent rate of returns will last you longer because you don't have the huge swings of the downturn and you're still having to take money out. So got to have some volatility, but you got to shrink that volatility to where it's more consistent versus average rate of return. And then the last thing, which I could do 15 videos on this, is the threat of rising taxes. I don't know where taxes are going to go. I do know in 2026 they're going to go up, not by much, but they're going to go up unless lawmakers step in and change that, which they could. Obviously, we have as the recording of this, we'll have an election next year that could change. So right now, I think taxes will go up. We're in a relatively low tax environment. When you look at history, history has shown that tax rates can be way higher than they are now. But if they do increase taxes, and that could be by Congress basically putting it to a vote and the president's pen signing it in, and then poof, we may have tax rates that change. Now, what tax rates? I don't know if it's going to be marginal. I don't know if it'll be the federal marginal bracket. I don't know if there'll be estate taxes that go up, Social Security taxes go up. There could be anything that could go up. But I'm a huge proponent. You have to factor in, what if taxes go up? What if they go up by 5, 10, 15%, and you haven't accounted for that? That's tough. That's why I'm a big proponent. Again, one of my previous videos was about Roth money. That's where Roth money is huge, because if there is an increased tax rate, you don't care. If you have Roth money, you do not care, because your tax rate is zero. Again, as long as you leave it in there for 5 years and you're over 59.5. Tax rate zero. It's hard to argue, which means you keep more of your Social Security benefit, which means your Medicare premiums are down. Again, it's so on and so forth. So I'm not saying I want your income to be low. I want your taxable income to be low. Very, very, very big difference when it comes to stuff like that. Roth money is not taxable. That's income, but it's not taxable income. So the threat of increasing taxes definitely could destroy your retirement. So taxes, inflation, volatility of the stock market, nursing home, or outliving your money. Any one of those five, all five of them would just completely kaput your retirement. But any one of those five is something that can really, really, really change your retirement. So you have to factor those in. Some people can do that on their own. Good for you. But if you need a financial advisor, a comprehensive, don't just do a money manager. It's got to be a comprehensive financial advisor. Reach out. Okay. That's how we normally start conversations with people, is a 15-minute phone call to start out with, just to see if we can help. And if there's a possibility to help, okay, then we schedule another meeting that gets more into the detail of you and to us. But maybe some of you can do this on your own. Great. But this is a daunting task for a lot of people. So a lot of people need help with this stuff. So don't be afraid to reach out. Would love to have a conversation with you. But again, appreciate your time. We'll be back soon.